A hearing on school choice will be held in the Texas Senate tomorrow, and U.S. troops have arrived at the border to block illegal aliens. This is Monday, January 27th, 2025.
Texas Scorecard presents the day's first news for the Lone Star State, the Texas Minute, with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.
Thanks for kicking off your week with the Texas Minute. Appreciate you listening. If you enjoy the Texas Minute, please give the show a rating, and if you have time, leave a review. This is the easiest way to help others find the Texas Minute and get more informed and engaged as citizens. Let's jump into today's news. After 4 years of contentious legal battles, the Texas State Bar has officially dropped its highly politicized effort to sanction Attorney General Ken Paxton. The State Bar is the professional organization that certifies lawyers in the state. This all started back in December 2020, following a presidential election filled with concerns about election integrity. Paxton led 18 states in filing a lawsuit at the United States Supreme Court. The case challenged the voting procedures in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and sought to temporarily block those states from certifying vote counts ahead of the Electoral College. The Supreme Court eventually dismissed the case, but in 2022, the Texas State Bar attempted to censure and sanction Paxton for filing the lawsuit. The State Bar was trying to strip Paxton and his first Assistant Attorney General Brent Webster of their law licenses. Late last week, the State Bar ended what's been described as politicized lawfare against Paxton and his team. Harris County is using taxpayer money to defend illegal aliens from deportation. In 2024 alone, county officials used $2 million of the taxpayers' money to provide legal services for illegal aliens. The money was spent with the Immigrant Legal Services Fund that provides free, that is, the taxpayers pay for it, representation in Harris County for people facing deportation. Soldiers have begun arriving in El Paso as part of President Donald Trump's promise to send more than 1,000 U.S. troops to conduct enforcement operations along the southern border. The Department of Defense will also be providing airlift support for flights operated by the Department of Homeland Security to facilitate the deportation of more than 5,000 illegal aliens detained in the San Diego and El Paso sectors. The Texas Minute will be right back.
The Luke Macias Show is your access to what happens behind closed doors in Texas politics. Listen weekly to me, your host, Luke Macias, as I break down what is actually happening in conservative politics in the Lone Star State, a state that we all love and cherish. Listen weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is a product of Texas Scorecard.
The Texas Senate Committee on Education K-16 will hold a hearing tomorrow on school choice. The issue is a top priority for Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and the Republican Party of Texas. Senate Bill 2 would create education savings accounts for parents with students in Texas schools from pre-kindergarten through high school. The primary author of the legislation is Brandon Creighton, a Republican from Conroe who chairs the committee. The measure would provide $10,000 annually per pupil to fund accredited private school tuition, textbooks, transportation, and other expenses. Families of students with disabilities, meanwhile, would be allotted $11,500 per pupil. The Senate's proposed budget tentatively allocates $1 billion for the program, meaning funding would be available for about 50,000 students. The Texas Education Agency projects that the state currently has more than 5 million students enrolled in the school system. Unlike proposals discussed last session back in 2023, Senate Bill 2 does not provide funding to school districts for any students who leave. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the Texas House has not yet set committees, let alone scheduled any legislation for hearings. You can find the details of this story and the others mentioned today and keep up with the latest news by visiting TexasScorecard.com. This edition of the Texas Minute was based on the original reporting of Brandon Waltons, Joseph Trimmer, Emily Medeiros, and Luca Cacciatore. It was produced by Nick Shepard in the 1836 studios. I look forward to seeing you out around the Lone Star State. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the first news of the day for the Lone Star State. This has been the Texas Minute with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.